Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your man, Tim Swain. Hey, did you know that right here in the heart of Accra, there is a library containing over 4,000 volumes of fiction and nonfiction work? But here's the best part. It is all Black everything. I'm talking about anywhere in the African diaspora you can imagine, we have authors from that region. And here's the best thing about it. Today, I am going to sit down with the founder of the Library of Africa and the African diaspora as we talk about what it means to be educated, what it means to be empowered, but most importantly, what it means to tell our own stories in our own voice. Wow, listen, I'm so excited that you decided to sit down with me. I know you are extremely busy. I see you doing so many interviews, you're running the library, you're having events. So once again, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
And thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy that you're here.
So for the folks that don't know you, please tell us your name and maybe just a little bit about your background.
Okay, so my name is Sylvia Arthur. I'm the founder of the Library of Africa and the African Diaspora, which we call LOATAD for short. And LOATAD is a library in West Legon in Accra, and we focus on books by writers of African descent. And so when we say African descent, we mean African, African American, or from the Americas, the Caribbean, Europe, and the whole Black world, actually. I mean, we also have books by Aboriginal Australians and Black Australians, for example, Papua New Guinea, etc. So when we talk about the Black diaspora, we're talking about the whole world where there are Black people. And another important aspect of the library is that we have an archive. So we actually collect books from as early as the late 19th century to the present day, and particularly books that are rare or out of print by Black writers.
You know, I'm low-key trying not to like jump up and down because deep down on the inside I am a nerd.
Okay.
And I do like to read. So being here in all these books is kind of like, it's like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, and you're not the only one. I mean, I can't believe it myself, actually.
Yeah.
And we've had the library for almost 4 years. This is the 4th year that we would have had the library. We started out in a smaller space, so it was like a one-room office, and then we graduated to this 2-story building. And honestly, sometimes I come in here and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that it's here and that we did this.
Wow. So for the folks who may be watching this for the first time, who may be hearing about this wonderful library for the first time, let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, I mean, where did this idea even come from?
Okay, so I've always been a really big reader my whole life. You know, I remember being 3 years old, for example, and, you know, going to a mall with my mum near where I live, and all the other kids would be playing in the kids' play area, and I always wanted to go to this bookshop because I've just always been fascinated by books. And I think that starts from the home. It may even be genetic to a certain extent. My dad was a big reader. In our house there was always like lots of books and newspapers and magazines around. The news was always on, and so it's something that I've just always loved reading. I've always loved escaping into other worlds, but more than that, I love words. And it just so happens that the words I love are English language words because of our history, obviously. But then in 2010, I moved to Brussels from London. So I'm from London, born and raised. But I moved to Brussels, Belgium for work. And when I moved to Brussels, I was alone in a city that I didn't know. I mean, honestly, I'd only ever been there once before, which was for the interview for the job that I got. And then I found myself living there. And I think when I moved there, I had these big romantic ideals about, you know, being in Europe, in the heart of Europe and the European Union, and meeting all these other people who, you know, were nerdy like me in lots of ways. But what it actually made me realize is that the UK is not perfect, but in terms of race relations in Europe, we're well advanced. And so I was very isolated and kind of lonely there, and I kind of fell back into reading in a really big way, and I relied on books as a way to escape the kind of isolation that I found myself in. And so I started buying all these books. The good thing about being in Brussels is that there are loads and loads of secondhand bookshops. Lots of secondhand bookshops because it's a very transient community. It's lots of people who come from all parts of Europe to work with the European institutions. They read a lot, they buy a lot, they can't take all these books back home, so they, give them to secondhand bookshops. And so I would be buying these books that were virtually new, the spine's hardly broken, and I'd be buying them for dirt cheap and reading them. But then they became too much for my apartment in Brussels, too much for my apartment in London. And so I would ship them to my mum's house in Kumasi, which is obviously kind of southern central Ghana. And every time I would come and see her and my books, I would just be like, wow, I have all these books here and they're a waste because nobody is reading them. So it was back in 2011 that I had the idea for the library, but I didn't move to Ghana until June 2017, so coming up to 4 years. And I started the library in December 2017. That's when it opened, and so.
Well, okay, so you had the idea in 2011.
Yes.
You relocated to Ghana in 2017.
Yes.
And you opened the library that same year.
Yes, that same year. So I moved in June 2017, and then I was actually looking for a space in Cape Coast originally. That was the original plan. I found a building that was very beautiful, but there was all kinds of family litigation, let's just say.
I get you.
Yes, there was all kinds of family litigation around this building, which was a shame. And so I turned my attention away from Cape Coast, and then there's a pharmacy actually not far from here where my mum used to go to. And one day I looked up because it's in a 2-story building, and I saw this empty office space. And it was just filled with so much light. And I thought, wow, that would make a really good library. And so literally, I think I saw that place, it was like a Tuesday at 3. By the Wednesday at 12, I'd signed the lease for it for...
Wow, you moved quick.
Do you know what? It sounds like I moved quick, but as you know, like I said, this idea had been gestating since 2011. And then when I moved here in June, it wasn't the plan to start the library when I moved here in June. I just thought I would come, just chill out for a bit. I didn't even expect to stay for 4 years, as I've been now. But then when I saw that space and having had the disappointment at the building in Cape Coast, I was like, yeah, let's do it then. And so having signed the lease, I think within about 2 or 3 weeks, I arranged to have the books brought down by road from my mum's house in Kumasi to Accra. And then, we opened it in December. So it was all in the space of like 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's a powerful story. But what it speaks to, what I hear about is like when you're passionate about something, you may have a time that you want to do things, but things may be lining up to do it quicker. And we're so glad you did. So you started this library, and now let's talk about that original vision. Who did you imagine would be the patrons of the library? Who was that audience that you had in mind?
Do you know, I know it's not really good business sense, but I don't think I was thinking of a particular patron as such. What it was is that when I travel, and I travel a lot, I have to say, like with my work in Europe, I traveled all around Europe. I also traveled personally a lot to the United States throughout my life, and to Canada as well. But wherever I go, and the Caribbean, I should say, but wherever I go, I always look for the first bookshop that I can find.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like, if you really want to get to know a country, obviously you meet the people, but you obviously read its writers and you read their books. And so every time I'd been to Ghana, and I'd been to Ghana, I think I'd started coming here since my 20s, so it's like late 90s, let's just say late 90s. And so I started coming here, and I would always look for the bookshop, and there were just no bookshops, or there were no good bookshops.
Yeah.
And so when I was thinking about like who would come to the library, I thought of, people who are looking for good books to read that reflect who they are. It wasn't that I was thinking of an ideal customer as such. I was just thinking there must be people who want to read good literature, and good black literature as well.
Yes.
So that they can, they know that they're part of a bigger world, if you see what I mean. Like, they're not restricted to, I'm from Ghana or I'm from Africa. Well, actually, we're from all over. We are all over, and our world is bigger. And so, I wasn't thinking of a person. I was just thinking of an idea, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And like I said, I'm really trying to contain my excitement because we have to do this conversation here. But, this is really right up my alley because, some folks know I went to school here, and going to school in Ghana, and even what I went to school for, which was theology. Yeah. What you realize is, that old proverb, right? Until the lion has a historian, tales of hunting will always glorify the hunter.
Exactly.
And you realize there's so little telling of our stories that we have done, and even the access to get into the archives of people who've said what we've said, that have felt the way we felt, that have been frustrated the way we've been frustrated, but have taken the time to write it down.
Exactly.
And where do you go to read those works, to learn, as you said, that it's not just about Ghana or Nigeria or even being African American, but you're part of the global fabric of humanity.
Exactly.
And there's a similarity for folks in the diaspora. So talk to us about maybe, what is the response of some people when they find out that this place exists, right? What are some of those reactions that you've gotten?
Do you know what? The interesting thing is that I guess the most heard statement that has been made when people come here is, I didn't realize there was a place like this in Ghana. And honestly, when people say that, I'm really touched. I'm really touched. I cry very easily, I should say. But I'm really touched because, why shouldn't there be a place like this in Ghana? And the fact that nowhere like this has existed before says more about how we value or don't value literature and our work and our writers as it does about, anything else. So if I'm the first person who's done this, and I don't claim to be, maybe I'm the first person who's known, but if I'm the first person who's done that, then that is an honor for me, definitely, and I'm touched by that. I'm also touched by the fact that people from all across the diaspora come here, and they message me even before they're coming to Ghana, and we've had people from Haiti, from Mozambique, from Botswana, from Martinique, Guadeloupe, all over. America, of course. I mean, African Americans are our biggest supporters, I have to say. We have as many, and it's true, we have as many African American members, because it's a subscription library, who do not live in Ghana, probably have no intention of coming to Ghana, but they support us financially because they value the idea.
Wow.
And, also, as I said, that touches me greatly. There's one guy in particular who wants to remain anonymous. He's based in California. He's probably donated over $1,000 every week. He sends money just in support of the cause.
Wow.
Because, it's difficult because people think that a library should be free. And that's the biggest obstacle that I've had to overcome, actually, is that people think, oh, well, you're a library, it should be free. As if, I haven't rented this place.
Yes.
As if I haven't paid for shelves to be made and installed security and, all these kind of things. And so the support of people who have never been here, who will probably never be here, but who value the idea and appreciate what I'm trying to do, I mean, honestly, I can't even put it into words.
Wow. It's what I think about is when someone is passionate about something and they just do it.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of people watching, and oftentimes they ask me questions around, this is what I'm really passionate about, but what will make me money?
Yes.
But the truth is, when you're passionate about something and you do it, it's like the old saying, right? If you build it, they will come.
I 100%, yes.
And for you to have this, I just can't say enough about it, because, like I said, the nerd in me is so giddy right now because we don't tell our stories.
Yeah.
It's absolutely frustrating when you understand what's happening in the world, when you don't understand what's happening in the world around you. And you can get taken advantage of by many things. So in addition to being a great resource for nerds like myself to read, you also have events and some other things that you do as well, right?
Yeah, we do a ton of things. And I think one of the things that we do that we don't not shout about, but is probably not as well known, is that we have lots of outreach and in-reach work that we do. So this library is one of 4. It's the only one that you pay to be a member of. We actually have 3 school and community libraries, and they are in Ashaiman, in a place called Gemstar School. They're in Nsutem, which is in the eastern region, and one in Kumawu in the Ashanti region. And then we also have various projects that we do within Accra, such as there's a project that we do with an organisation called Amin Nima, where we work with a football team based in Nima of children who are aged 9 to 15, where we do reading and literacy with them. And they come to the library once a month, and we do like film screenings in here, we do games and activities. And I think what's really important is, it's one thing to do the outreach and go to where people are, but it's another thing to bring them into a space like this. And this is a grand space. Sometimes I forget, that, look at it. I mean, it's a beautiful
it's very
building.
nice, very nice.
Yeah, and, I think it's important to be able to bring children who are not used to this kind of environment into the space so that they can see, I do feel welcome in this space. I am at home in this place. This is my place. I should be here. And so I think that the in-reach that we do is the most important thing that we do to me and the archive as well. It's the archive and the outreach and the in-reach work are the most important.
Wow, listen, I'm trying to fight back the tears so you don't cry. I don't have no tissue. What I'm really thinking about is I saw some videos online of people reading children's books to their children, and automatically I thought about my son, because one of my values is, as my child, like, you know, coming to Ghana, unapologetically, one of our values in our home is love for the diaspora. Yeah. And you know, just going back to, like, there's a space where everybody can see themselves. Yes. What is maybe the response of some of those children or young adults that you bring to this place that didn't even know existed? Yeah. It's a beautiful edifice. You have tons of just thousands and thousands and thousands of years of history here, and present day history that's being made. What is the responses of some of those folks?
I mean, you know, it's really overwhelming, because we have a group of children who are sponsored by this African-American man that I was telling you about in California. And, you know, they came here, and initially, obviously, they're quite overwhelmed, and they're quite quiet and reluctant, and, you know, they're kind of scared to engage with the books. They're scared to touch things and things like that. And we're a lending library, so, you know, when they come here, we do storytelling with them, we do, like, drawing and art, and then we say, okay, choose some books that you're going to take home, obviously, go and read, and then when you come back, tell us about them. Honestly, the first time that they came back, we couldn't shut them up. We really couldn't shut them up. Really? They were telling us everything in this book, beginning from, like, once upon a time there was a boy and blah, 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 he went here, he did this, he did that. And they were telling us in detail this story. And then they would come and they'll say, oh, madame, you know, I really want to write a story. And so, you know, we have these exercise books that this woman kindly donated that I met on a plane, just very randomly. She says, I have, you know, exercise books for you. I thought she'd give us maybe 20. She gave us 500. So now we give them, you know, to the kids.
Wow.
And then, you know, we gave them exercise book, and they said, you know, I want to write a story. Went away, they wrote the story. They came back, read the story. And then the next week, this girl said, oh, madame, I want to write a play. I said, okay, I have something for you. So I took her out to the back. This was when we'd first done our outdoor event space, which is called the Mbari, after a famous artists and writers club in Ibadan, Nigeria, in the 1960s. So I took her out, and she saw the stage, and she was like, I'm telling you, they jumped on the stage. They were jumping up and down, dancing, performing, and they were saying, oh, you know, I'm going to wear this, and this character will wear that, and, you know, doing dialogue. And I mean, it's priceless. Like, what can you say? What can you say? I mean, these children, they really did come out of themselves.
Wow. So you have these wonderful outreach, in-reach. You have this amazing catalog of works. Let's talk a little bit about where the writers are coming from, and a little bit more about the books that you have here and the collections that you have here. Yeah,
so, you know, we have books by writers from 41 of Africa's 54 nations, let me say. And actually, I just got a shipment yesterday that has been blocked by coronavirus for the last year or so. And we've actually been able to add to that collection. Now we have writers from Tanzania, which we didn't have before. Tanzania, from Namibia, from Mauritius. Because, you know, sometimes the islands are very difficult to get hold of, especially because 99% of the books we have here are in English. So now we're consciously working to broaden the representation in the library. As you know, we have a Caribbean writers shelf. I've also tried to get as many islands represented as possible, but again, I'm still working to build up those collections. And I think we actually have a good diversity of islands from the Caribbean. It's not just Jamaica, you know, and, you know, Trinidad and Tobago. It's actually quite diverse. But then, you know, the same with, we have our African American collection. I'm trying to broaden the Americas as well to have more representation from Latin America and South America, because I think that's often forgotten when we speak about the Black diaspora and the African diaspora. In terms of the Americas, we tend to think of African America and not so much Southern America or South America. So yeah, our collections are diverse. We also have a children's library as well. We have an archive room where some of our archive is kept, but not all of it, because we are still trying to, you know, get display materials and stuff like that, or display shelves rather, so that we can display a lot of the archive. One of the key books in our collection in the archive is a signed Kwame Nkrumah for example, and a letter from his secretary, who was Michael Dayanang at the time, on presidential head paper to the US ambassador at the time, which was Ambassador Mahoney. And this letter is from 1962 or so. The book signed by Nkrumah, the letter signed by Michael Dayanang, to the governor of Michigan at the time, who was a man called Menon Williams, who was a great advocate for African independence, well ahead of his time, a Democrat, but well ahead of his time. And so normally when we do the tours, we bring those things in. We do guided tours of the building and the collection, which last about 90 minutes, and we bring those in, and we show those kind of things off, but they're not kept here.
Wow.
So the collection is really broad. We also have like a 1928 first edition of Thomas Mafolo's Shaka. Thomas Mafolo, writer from Lesotho. The book was originally written in his Basotho language, published in 1928, but translated into English in 1931. What else do we have? One of my favorites, Paul Laurence Dunbar, African-American poet. We have an 1898 collection of his, which is called Lyrics of Lowly Life. It has a beautiful frontispiece picture of Paul Laurence Dunbar in the front of the book, black and white. And honestly, when you look at that, it really is quite moving, because you look at Paul Laurence Dunbar, for example, or you look at Claude Mackay, who's a Jamaican Harlem Renaissance poet and writer, and honestly, you see Kwame Nkrumah, or you see your ancestors in it. You know, I look at them and they look like my uncle. Honestly, they look like it could be my uncle. So. Wow.
I feel so black right now. Listen, I should have worn all black today. Shoot. How does membership work? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have 2 levels of membership. We have a children's membership and we have an adult membership. Adult membership is 600 Ghana cedis a year, which works out to be 50 cedis a month, and you can borrow 2 books at a time on that adult membership. And then with the children's membership, it's 400 cedis a year, and you can borrow 4 books at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, and we also have an overseas membership as well. For anybody who wants to support us, but doesn't live in Ghana, but supports the ideal and the vision and the mission of the library, you can also take out an overseas membership, which I think is $75 a year.
Wow. So very affordable.
Yeah, very affordable.
Absolutely affordable.
Yeah.
Wow. I wish we can do like about 5 or 6 parts of this, because there's so much, but we'll probably get some footage of, the actual library and things like that.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you, for folks out there watching this, they heard it for the first time, they're really inspired to follow their passion no matter what it is.
Yep.
What would be your word of encouragement for those individuals who may want to do something, let's just say in Ghana, they want to do something maybe they've never seen, they've never heard about being done. How would you encourage that individual?
I would say just do it, honestly, because I think, for me personally, I'm an overthinker. And I think about everything, I think about every possibility, everything that could go wrong. That's not to say don't have contingency plans, because I have contingencies for everything. Whether it's an event, whether it's the library itself, whatever it is, I'll always have contingency. So I think just do it, but obviously be prepared and know what you're coming to. I think there is, particularly with Ghana, there is a romantic idealism about what Ghana is, what it represents, and I think you have to be realistic, honestly. I think if you're coming here and you've never been here before, definitely plan to come for at least 3 months, because people who come over here for 2 weeks and 3 weeks and say, I'm going to use that to try to live in Ghana, it will take you at least 3 months to adjust to the pace of life and just getting used to how things are here.
Yeah.
So, I would definitely say come over and see how it goes. But then also I would say, if it doesn't work out, don't feel guilty about it, because, I would feel no way about saying, I've tried and I've done what I can do, but I'm going back tomorrow. I honestly wouldn't feel a way about it.
Wow. That sounds like words from a person who has lived, who has had wisdom, and who understands, that there are so many different kind of people in the world, and there's different perspectives. So I'm so glad you said that, because some people feel like if they come to Ghana and they don't make it, then maybe somehow their level, especially black folks, they feel like, they've lost some stripes.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
And they feel like they've failed. And you haven't failed, you've learned. And you've learned that maybe Ghana isn't for me, but maybe Gambia might be for me.
Yes.
Maybe South Africa might be for me. It could be anywhere. Maybe Barbados might be for me. It doesn't have to just be Ghana. Although Ghana is a great place, and I wouldn't discourage anybody from coming. But I feel like a lot of people come and then they think, it hasn't worked out for me, and somehow I'm a bad person, or I'm not as black as I thought I was, or whatever it is. And it's not that at all. It's just that this is not the place for you, but there's somewhere else for you, and try. And maybe that other place for you may be where you've come from. It may be where you come from, and we need allies in the diaspora.
Exactly.
And so I would hope that people don't feel any shame or guilt about having tried, and it not working out, and then going back to wherever in the diaspora that they feel is home. There's nothing wrong with that.
Wow. I'm so grateful for your time today. I'm so grateful that you decided to follow your passion and your purpose, because I know you know this already, but it's blessing the lives of so many people. Just looking around here is just absolutely breathtaking.
Thank you.
At the collection of works. And so, we're going to make sure that all your information goes in our links for folks to get that residential membership or even that international membership.
Yeah, that international, or just donate. You can just donate to us as well. No strings attached, and we're very appreciative of it. At the moment, I should say, we are doing a crowdfunder to try to raise money to get a digital scanner, to be able to digitize our collection, our archive, to be able to digitize the archive, to also get a desktop computer to be able to work with, obviously, the digital scanner, to get a printer as well, and to get a hard drive, like a 1 terabyte hard drive or something, and a book covering machine, because obviously we want to be able to preserve the collection as long as possible, and we would like to be able to put, the plastic coverings that you get on books, so that when people borrow them, they come back in the condition that they were lent in. So we're doing that crowdfunder. We're trying to raise, I think, £2,500 or $3,000 or something like that. So if you want to support, please do. We would appreciate it.
Well, listen, you heard that. So this information is going to be in the description or in the link. So all you folks talking about, we need to be doing this, we need to support one another, this is your opportunity right here. Put your money where your mouth is. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video, and this time, make sure you donate. Peace.